Hi YouTube, this is Mike, also known as the Wizard of the Bods, and I'm accompanied by who else but Angela, as always.
Hi everyone.
So we're here on the Las Vegas Strip at the intersection of the Las Vegas Strip and Sands Boulevard, and the topic of this video will be just miscellaneous Las Vegas advice. We already did one on Vegas, overcharging and scams, and another one on how to save money in Vegas, and this is just miscellaneous stuff that didn't really fit into either of those topics. And I'm going to try to avoid talking about gambling because I do that all the time in my other videos, so we'll try to keep this non-gambling related.
Well, fair enough. And on that, I'm going to go right into one of the things because I think this is so terribly important and so easily overlooked. When you are coming to Las Vegas, wear comfortable footwear. Yes, is that obvious? Yes, do I sound like your mother? Absolutely. But am I right? You know it. Ladies especially, you've got those gorgeous 6-inch towering heels that you've been saving up all year for. The Strip is 4.2 miles. You do not want to be wearing 6-inch stilettos walking up and down it. Now this isn't only for the ladies. Gentlemen, your dress shoes aren't very comfortable either. Now while you do want to bring those so that you can get into the clubs and the nicer restaurants, when you're walking around during the day, please just wear your sneakers, wear your flip-flops, wear your sandals, buy some gel inserts, but wear comfortable footwear. And ladies, if you absolutely must wear your wedges or heels, just take a little pair of ballet flats, roll them up, and put them in your bag. Trust me. You'll thank me later. Good
advice, Angela. So if I may ask, can you show the sandals that you're wearing right now as an example?
Why, yes I can. I'm glad I painted my toenails. I'm not sure if the camera's going to be able to pick it up if I just lift my legs. So,
yeah, can you?
I can slip one off for you. So you can see they're very well worn, but it's just a simple pair of sandals with a little bit of a heel and a little bit of a cushion. So,
all right.
It's that easy.
Yes, and yeah, and related is you just said that the Las Vegas Strip is 4-point-something miles.
Yes.
So, yes, it can take a long time to get from point A to point B. Like to get from here at the Venetian to the Mandalay Bay would take like half a day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just be
aware.
Yeah, be aware of that distances are longer than they may look like on a map.
They absolutely are. They're even longer than they just look when you're eyeballing it. Mm-hmm. And remember, it's always 100 degrees here in Las Vegas, so farther than you think.
Okay, thanks, Angela. So, Angela, if you're out walking on a hot Vegas day, what other advice would you give besides wearing comfortable shoes?
Well, again, I'm going to sound like your mom, but along with wearing comfortable shoes, make sure you wear sunscreen. You all may have noticed that I'm sparkling like a vampire from Twilight today. It's because I wore glittery sunscreen, not thinking that it was going to show up quite as much as it did. But even as someone who's lived here a long time and is used to the sun, I wear sunscreen absolutely every day, and I cannot recommend it enough. If you're coming here, if you're going outside that casino at all, sunscreen, sunscreen, sunscreen. Lip balm, lip balm, lip balm. We are in the middle of a desert. You will be dry and crusty like a bad Chris Rock special if you don't. In fact, I'm pretty sure we both have some in our pockets. I know I have probably 3 different ones in my bag. So it's very simple. There's not much more to say on it, but make sure you wear sunscreen and lip balm.
Yeah, I'm wearing some right now. Here's my lip balm. I like the strong stuff, the Vaseline.
Right.
But how come my sunscreen isn't glittery like yours?
Because this is the sunscreen they give to the girls who work at the pools. So don't worry, your sunscreen's not going to look like this. That's why you don't look like a bad vampire from Twilight.
Okay, good stuff, Angela. 3. So, Angela, where do we find ourselves now?
We find ourselves in front of what I think is one of the most scenic places on the Las Vegas Strip. We are in front of the Venetian Las Vegas, and very specifically, we're in front of the absolutely beautiful canals.
So, fun fact, Angela used to be a gondolieri for 2 years at the Venetian in Macau.
I was, yeah. It was a very interesting couple years of rowing a boat and singing aria in China.
And I'm sure you were great at it.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. So I definitely spent a lot of time on the water. And speaking of water, that brings us to our next tip. So one of my tips for Las Vegas is make sure you stay hydrated. Where am I going with that on the money saving idea? Just buy bottles of water from places like CVS, Walgreens, and the ABC stores. So we all know that everything is overpriced if you go inside of the casinos, but your best bet is to go into one of those other stores. You'll spend $1. Any of those stores have sales rotating on different brands at any given time, so you can always get a bottle of water for $1. So skip the gift shops, skip the hotel bars, and go to one of, like, I believe we have 6 Walgreens, 3 CVS's, and 4 ABC stores.
Now, personally, as a local, I like to bring my reusable water bottle here. So where was I going? Yeah, but if you're visiting, you know, you may not have a convenient place to fill up that water bottle with good water.
Right.
When I'm in charge of Las Vegas, there will be water bottle refilling stations up and down the strip that offer filtered good water.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. That's a political platform we can all get behind.
Yes.
Mayor Water.
Okay, but until that day, the worst way to get water is to buy them in the casinos. They will charge you $5 for a 20-ounce bottle of just a generic brand of water.
Yeah, total rip-off.
Now, one area where Angela and I disagree on is you see people selling water out of coolers on the bridges between the casinos. Personally, I don't have a problem with that. I know that they're not paying taxes, and I'm sure it's illegal.
Right.
But Angela has another reason against that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really care that it's not illegal. I don't care they don't have a business license, but I personally just think it's not sanitary or hygienic. You know, the rumor that all the locals say is that a lot of times those bottles have already been used once, and that's why when they give it to you, they open it for you, or if you look in the case, it's a lot of different brands. So for me personally, I'd rather spend the extra few minutes to walk into a convenience store and get a bottle that I know for sure where it came from. But that being said, I appreciate a good hustle, and I appreciate a good hustler, so make your decision yourself on the water.
Yeah, now, I'm a little skeptical of this theory that they are getting empty bottles out of the trash and filling them, because buying water bottles at somewhere like Walmart is only like 10 cents a bottle. So it would seem to me a better business decision to just buy it rather than scraping around trash cans, looking for empty bottles, caps, and filling them. But I don't know who's right. I'm sure it's probably happened before.
Yeah.
You could always check to see that they're all the same brand and ask them not to open it for you.
Right.
But
if you do both of those things, you're probably fine.
So but it's no big secret that Vegas can be hot. So one way or the other, drink water. You don't want to get dehydrated.
Right.
All right, good stuff, Angela. So my next piece of advice is two simple words: player cards. And I know I'm trying to stay away from gambling in this video, but if you do any form of gambling at all, use a player cards, table game machine. All this stuff gets fed into a database, and casinos like to market to get people to return. And when you're gambling, you know, it shows that you're a valued customer. And even in a normal year, it does not take a great deal of play to get free room offers. If you're a low-level player, they may just be during the week. But casinos are really, I think, pretty generous in giving back rewards to their players that use a player card. And in my opinion, it's better to get them to try to ask you to come back than you begging to get stuff while you're there. So player card, player card, player card. It's that simple.
It really is. And especially so many of these players cards are going to offer absolutely fantastic sign-up bonuses. Everything from free play or match play or free dinners or free buffets or any of that. So yeah, absolutely. You're going to win when you first sign up just because you got those extras. You're going to win as you continue to play with the card.
Yes, I love those fun books when you get them.
I do too.
Yes, they're fun.
So just that simple, guys. Players card, players card, players card.
Yep. Okay, thanks, Angela. Okay, Angela, I have a trivia question for you.
Okay.
Do you see that bridge behind us with the two windows? And it's a little hard to tell it's a bridge, but it is. You would walk through it if going from the Wax Museum towards the Venetian shops. So what is the name of that bridge? What is the historical story behind it?
So the name of it is the Bridge of Sighs.
And why would they call it that?
Well, so I'm going to be really light on the details. I don't remember what prison it is, but it's a very famous prison in Venice, and as the prisoners were crossing over into the prison, that was their last look at sunlight that they were going to have, and so they'd say you'd hear all the prisoners sighing.
Angela, you are up on your history. Yes,
I'm a nerd.
Yes, so this is obviously the Venetian. It's all based on Venice, and it is. They have a lot of the little touches that are exactly the same, including the Bridge of Sighs there. So as Angela said, I think that once they sentenced you to life in prison, they led you immediately to the prison, and you went over that bridge there, and when you looked through those two windows, it would be the last sunlight you ever saw because the prison had no windows. So you would look through that window, see sunlight for the last time, and sigh.
Right, and you'd be going to some place where you didn't want to stay, versus our next bit of Las Vegas advice, which is about where you do want to stay. And that's, do you want to stay on strip, downtown, off strip? There's pros and cons of all of it, so we've got a little bit of miscellaneous advice to help you decide what's best for you.
Right, and there's no decision that's going to be right for
Nope.
everybody. I've seen other travel guides that take a firm position on this one way or the other.
I don't.
Now, if you want to save money, stay off strip. You will definitely save money, not just on the expense of the hotel room, but restaurants, you know, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
But you will probably be stuck out in what you will think will be in just some boring residential area.
Right, I agree with that totally. You know, if you're only coming here for a handful of days, this is your vacation, go ahead and spend a little bit more money and be in the thick of the action.
Yeah.
There's definitely huge value to being able to go back and forth to your room to change clothes when you get too hot, or change shoes when you didn't take my advice and you wore uncomfortable ones, or even when you just want to go from place to place or take a rest. There's a huge value to that, and to not having to take a cab 20 minutes outside. So yeah, and again, a little bit of advanced planning, you can get some really good deals on the rooms on strip.
Yeah, and this is kind of obvious, but if it's your first trip to Vegas, pay the extra money, stay on the strip. You will feel that Vegas experience.
Right.
And a quick word about downtown. That's, you know, I like downtown.
I love the downtown.
It gets a younger crowd there. It's cheaper than the strip.
Yes. Food, rooms.
Yes,
all
there's a
of it.
lot of free entertainment there.
Yeah.
So if you also are budget conscious,
Look downtown.
definitely consider downtown. It is kind of noisy, a little bit gritty, but
yeah, a little gritty, little noisy, but a little exciting, a little dirty in a good way for Vegas. So.
But if you're one of those people that just wants to gamble, then you may as well stay off strip. Personally, I really like the South Point, but there's lots of choices to choose from.
Right. So again, there isn't going to be one right choice. It really depends on who you are and what kind of vacation you're looking at.
All right. Thanks, Angela.
Thanks.
So, Angela, when we were filming that last bit, I was looking at this sign right above us here on this bridge. So it appears to me to be written in Latin. So, Angela, how good is your Latin?
None. I have no vini vidi vici vino. I don't. No, none.
Yeah, I just know habeas corpus, coitus interruptus, stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that when I get back home, I am going to look into what this sign says and let you guys know.
Okay. Well, I'd be very curious. Let me know.
Yes, I can be a fountain of knowledge, but on this sign, yeah, I'm dry right now.
2 large pizzas for the price of one every Tuesday?
All right. Thanks, Angela. Okay, Angela, we find ourselves at one of my favorite free attractions in Las Vegas that is very little known.
Okay.
And it is, do you see that grate behind us?
Yeah.
There is a lot of hot air that blows up out of there, and it truly creates that Marilyn Monroe effect of blowing up hot air. So, Angela, would you mind discreetly demonstrating for the audience as soon as this car gets out of the way?
The things I do for the wizard.
I truly appreciate the sacrifice. Okay, now we've got a truck coming, so thanks, Angela. Okay, Angela, I'm ready for you.
Okay. Out of dash. Can't be that bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. Well, now that we've let Mike get his cheap thrill for the afternoon, the next piece of my miscellaneous advice has to do with cheap thrills, and that's prostitution is not legal in Clark County. Now, Mike, I know I've mentioned this in one of our other videos, and I don't mean to sound like a hall monitor. It's not the legality of it that I want to really stress to you all. Make your own decisions when you come here. But as far as the act between 2 consenting adults, it is legal an hour outside of Las Vegas. Just go into Nye County. There are approximately 20 licensed brothels in the state of Nevada, all of which will provide you with a range of services at a range of budgets, at a range of tastes. So go the legal route. You know, if you gotta get your cheap thrill, and we're all for all the thrills that Sin City can hold, but do it legally, do it safely, do it smartly. You don't want to have to register as a sex offender, and we do take that quite seriously here. The police absolutely will crack down, not just on the prostitute, but also on the John. And that'll ruin your vacation faster than anything else I can think of.
Right. This is not something I know a great deal about, but the law is that in Nevada, prostitution is illegal except in counties above so many in population.
Right.
And Clark County is one of those few counties.
Yes.
And nevertheless, it does happen a lot here.
It does, absolutely.
And, right.
Which is why we're mentioning it.
And I've heard all kinds of horror stories. I have heard that there's a lot of crime that goes both ways, a lot of
the girls will rob the guys, which is called trick rolling, or men are often violent
worse.
to the women, or worse.
Yeah.
Just something to be mindful
Yeah,
of.
just be-
Come
just-
here, have your fun, have your thrills,
Yes.
but you know, do it safely, do it legally.
And one thing I'd want to quickly say is you would think that it is legal with all these trucks going up and down the strip saying hot babes direct to you, and people handing you cards right and left with a cute girl and a phone number.
Right. It's not.
If you call one of these numbers, a girl will come to your room, but she's not going to probably be anywhere near as attractive as on that billboard or that business card. And
Yep, it's just not worth the risk. It's not worth the money. There's a ton of other ways. People come here for the fun. They come here for the vice. So really, go say hi to someone. Buy a cute girl a drink. You know, there's a lot better ways to go about it here. So come here, have fun, be safe, be smart.
Okay, Angela, while we're kind of on the topic of debatably sinful things you might do in Las Vegas, let's talk about cannabis, marijuana. So, as it's no big secret that we legalized marijuana for recreational use, about 2 years ago?
Yep.
And where might you find it? Let's start with that. There are probably about 20 places to buy it around Las Vegas. There's only one on the Strip, and it's way far north near the Stratosphere. The biggest place, I believe, in the entire world is called Planet 13. Have you been there?
I haven't been there, but I have read that.
Right.
It's the biggest one. Yeah.
Yes, it's this enormous, fancy place that it's very.
Yeah.
It's an experience just to go there. It's near the Fashion Show Mall, and there's lots of smaller places. The service in these places is in my opinion, really quite good. I think they are used to getting people that have like no idea what to get, and they're, in my experience, at most places, they're really friendly. Very good at asking questions. They will explain to you the differences between indica and sativa, if I have the terms right, the pros and cons between edibles and smoking it, and so yeah.
Well, we are a service town, so it's not surprising to me that since we did go ahead and legalize another vice, we might as well treat it like we would anything else in the service industry here, and treat people well with it if they come here and want to partake of that.
Yep. Now the prices. You know, I can't say that it's cheap, but you know, the prices are reasonable. Probably what you would, maybe a little bit more than what you might have paid before it got legalized, but at least that it's fully licensed and regulated now. And once you have your stuff, if you want to smoke it, if you want to smoke actual raw weed, all the hotel rooms have signs like say no smoking, and that includes marijuana. You see that all the time. So you smell it here on the Strip all the time. There's probably a rule against it, but there
is actually a rule, and as someone who comes from a family of cops and military people, let me put this one out there just as a tip and a little bit of advice to you. It is illegal to smoke weed out in the open, walking up and down the Strip. Everybody is kind of doing that. The cops pretty much turn a blind eye so long as you're not a complete jerk to them about it. So if a cop does approach you and ask you to please put it out, just put it out, and that will be the end of it. It's not worth it to them. It's not worth the paperwork. It's not worth the hassle. They'll leave you alone. But just if they ask you to put it out, put it out. What you're doing is illegal. So just a quick tip about that. So
yeah, I don't know what's so complicated about following police orders.
Right, easy one.
I think we would have a lot less problems in the world if people did that. So, but to get back on topic, what was I going to say? Okay, if you're in your hotel room and you're in the urge to smoke, I recommend going into one of the stairwells.
Oh, there's a tip you won't hear everywhere else. Yeah.
And
because the hotel rooms will fine you after you check out. If you leave and they walk in there and it's a cloud of weed, they'll treat it the same as if it's a cloud of regular nicotine smoke, and then you will get fined. And I believe it's up to a $350 fine that they're allowed to do now. Don't quote me on that. It may be more, but so it's not really worth it. So
yeah. So And the hotel employees, I think, turn a blind eye to it if you're doing it in the stairwells. I'm sure they would rather you do it there than someplace with carpeting where the general public goes.
Good point.
Yes. So that is about all I have to say on that. Not a big expert.
Right. Yep. Same here. Like anything else, come to Vegas, enjoy our vices, but do it smart.
All right. Thanks, Angela. So, Angela, speaking about smoking, I would like to put in a great big thumbs up to the Park MGM, formerly the Monte Carlo, for adopting a no smoking rule. Thank you. On behalf of all non-smokers, thank you so much.
Right. Yep. When they reopen on September 30th, they will be the first all non-smoking casino, hotel, and property on the Strip. So I'm not a smoker myself. I believe in choice. I love that we have it, but by choice, I love that we have a place that now we can go, and we don't have any of that. So we just wanted to put in a quick plug for that so that people knew that. Nice little bit of miscellaneous advice.
Okay, but our next topic is on the nightclubs. And I'm not a nightclub guy, so Angela, I will let you do most of the talking on this one.
All right, guys, I will try not to hit you with too many pieces of advice, but let me try to give you a few that you may not have heard already. And I'm going to say something that goes against what you're going to hear in other travel blogs, so just go with me on it. And that is to say that as far as the nightclubs are concerned, sometimes it is absolutely worth it to go ahead and get the VIP bottle service. Now, why do I say that? Included in a VIP bottle service is your admission, a table, so you actually have a place to sit down, several bottles of alcohol as well as mixers, a private waitress, security at your table, so especially if there's a lot of ladies in the group and they like to be able to leave their purses or in their bags so they can go out on the dance floor, you have someone watching it, which you otherwise do not have. That guaranteed place to sit is very important, expedited through the line, and a VIP host to take care of you. So yes, is it expensive? Absolutely. But if you have 8 to 10 of you, it's going to cost you all $150 each. Well, admission to a club can be $50. So I would like to put out there, it can actually be better to do a VIP service. So look at that ahead.
So it sounds like it's probably not that much more to get the table.
It really isn't. It is an expensive thing. If there's only 2 of you, it's going to cost you quite a bit if you're looking at $2,000 for a night and there's 2 of you. But if there's an actual group of you, it more than pays for itself.
Yeah, good stuff. So Angela, what's your opinion about these? I think the term is a nightclub promoter that you see on the Strip. And is there a difference between a nightclub host and a nightclub promoter?
Yes. So this is another thing that people who aren't from Vegas don't realize. And this might be different in other cities. I don't know about like Chicago or things. But here, a promoter's job is simply to get you through the door. Their job is just to get people in the nightclub. A hostess whose job it is to take care of you and give you that VIP service. So a hostess who's going to actually get you through that line quicker. They're who's going to take care of you with drinks. They're who's going to do all of that. And they are 2 very separate jobs. So when it comes to that person on the Strip with that piece of paper thwacking it at you, guys, it's just not worth it. The drink specials on there are something you could get anyway, and the entry on there is either going to have such limited conditions that it's not worth it.
So would you say do not deal with any middleman and just deal directly with the nightclub? And would you recommend planning in advance?
That's exactly the next thing I was going to say. A little bit of advanced planning goes a long way here. Call the club directly and ask to be put on the guest list. If they have VIP hosts that they want to deal with, they will usually give you those names. If not, they'll put you on their guest list, and that's what's going to get you through the door. If you get here and haven't decided, talk to your hotel concierge. A lot of times they'll have a partnership program where you will get free entry or expedited entry. Again, those are 2 different things, guys, and you'll want to make sure that you check about them. But ask your hotel concierge. If nothing else, do a Google search for the specific club you want and find a VIP host who is highly rated. And there's several nightclub sites that actually rate the hosts and allow the services to be rated on both sides, and that's definitely your best way. If all of that fails, remember, girls always have an advantage here. Sorry, guys, if you're a big group of guys, you're not going to get through that door after 10 o'clock. So here's a couple more quick tips, if you don't mind me throwing them at you. Go to the club early. A group of guys has a much better odds of getting in before 10 o'clock. Also, if you are just a group of ladies, 10 o'clock's about when they usually start charging admission. So don't show up at 11 o'clock, show up at 10 o'clock. That little bit difference can save you a lot of money and get you through the door. Going back to the big group of guys, split into smaller groups. You'll have way better luck if you're, 3 groups of 3 instead of a group of 10. If all else fails, guys, be really sweet to the girls in line and ask if you can go in with them as a group. 1, it's just a great way to meet girls, and 2, it will get you through the door faster. So that's a couple of my quick tips as far as that. things that I wish people had told me before I started working in them, so I understood more. And also, I can't say enough, another tip, bring your ID. You cannot get into a Las Vegas nightclub without your ID, whether that's a passport or a state or government issued ID, and bring earplugs. Those are some of my quick and silly tips. Hopefully they help get you through and help save you some money.
And what do you think if you have the choice about going midweek as opposed to a Friday or Saturday night?
Actually, it doesn't make a huge difference in Las Vegas. That depends on the club, not on Vegas in general. Some clubs are just as busy midweek because midweek we tend to do industry nights, so more locals will go. So actually that's not really going to help you too much going on a Tuesday versus going on a Friday. Depends on the club. But earlier in the night, that's what makes the difference.
And something I would think of is that if I need alcohol to make it more fun for me, I would probably do some of my drinking before I got in.
Ding, ding, ding. Go to that CVS or Walgreens that we swear we're not sponsored by, but that we're always putting on. And again, do some pre-gaming, as the kids say these days. But yeah, if you absolutely need to do that, do it that way.
All right, thanks so much,
All right,
Angela.
Of course, thanks, Mike.
So earlier we were talking about getting around Las Vegas, and I'd like to come back to that. Where we're standing right now is a tram that goes between the Treasure Island and the Mirage, and there are two other trams in Las Vegas. There's one that goes from I believe it goes by the Bellagio, the Aria, and the Park MGM, if I'm not mistaken. And the other one goes from the Excalibur past the Luxor, making a stop there into the Mandalay Bay.
Yes.
And these trams are all free.
Yes.
Yes, so this is a convenient way getting between two particular casinos. There's not always a tram to where you want to go, but know where they are. They may help you out.
Exactly. Yep, they're just a good thing to know. These street trams, like Mike was saying, they're free, they're air conditioned. If you just need that quick little break in between some of those areas, it can make all the difference.
And kind of similar to the tram is the Las Vegas monorail.
The monorail.
Yes. Yes. So the monorail has its pros and cons, but it's definitely something to know about. I think for tourists, non-locals, I believe it's $5 a ride, or there's an all-day pass.
Which I think is $13.
Yes.
Last time I checked.
Okay, so the monorail goes from the MGM all the way to the Sahara. And it stays on the east side of the strip the whole time. Now, one downside to it is that most places where you get on it are kind of like at the very, far back of the casino, and so it can be a long walk from, say, the front door of a casino to where you would get on the monorail. So it's not necessarily going to be the fastest way to go a short distance. So just keep it in mind.
Right. The monorail honestly is not my favorite way, but I'm glad that we're pointing it out because it is an option.
Yeah.
What I personally would prefer over the monorail, I'm a big fan of the Deuce. And what that is one of our RTC buses here in Las Vegas. It's a double-decker bus, and it runs all the way from Mandalay Bay, which is one far end of the strip, all the way to Fremont Street Experience, which is the downtown.
Yep.
So that one single double-decker bus, it runs every 15 or 20 minutes, depending on the time of day, and it stops every, I remember, something like every 3/4 of a mile along the strip. So I would prefer the Deuce. And again, 24 hours that you can get on it. An all-day ride pass on that at full fare for a non-resident, I believe, is $8.
Yeah, I like the Deuce too. These are brand new or very new buses, double two-story, well air-conditioned. Yes. The only bad thing I can think to say is that on a weekend, in the evening especially, they can get crowded.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, you may be standing up, you may be at a stop, and you may not even be able to get on if it's already packed.
Right.
But so, keep all things, just know about it as an option.
Yeah. Great. Well,
Yeah.
I think between Lyfts and Ubers and trams and the Deuce and the monorail, I think we're going to be able to get around Vegas pretty well now.
Yes.
All right, we'll hope so.
Okay, thanks, Angela. 3. So, Angela, this next one is kind of obvious, but I can't not mention it. Stay midweek if you want to save some money. It's no big secret that Friday and Saturday nights are high in demand, and the prices of hotel rooms go way up. They might be 2 or 3 times as much as on a weekday. And the weekdays can be high too, depending upon if there's a big convention in town. So yeah, the prices of rooms in Vegas can be all over the place according to you know, the day of the week and what's going on in town at that time.
Absolutely. But as a general rule, if you stay away from the weekends and stay during the week, you are going to get a better deal on the room.
Yep.
So it's a good general rule. It's just that easy.
Yep, it's that simple.
Love it.
Okay, thanks. It's time for a trivia question, Angela.
All right.
What is the tallest building in Las Vegas, not counting the stratosphere?
I don't know.
Do you see that blue building past the Wynn?
Yes.
It is that building. It's formerly called the Fountain Blue. I don't remember the new name of it, but it has it's halted construction several years ago, and they never, as far as I know, resumed it.
Oh.
I think it recently got purchased, so hopefully somebody wants to do something with that.
Okay.
But yeah, there you go, tallest building in Las Vegas.
Well, what's the tallest building in the Fremont Street area or the downtown?
The Fitzgerald's, which is now the D.
And what?
Am I right?
You are, but only.
Oh, because is Circa going to beat
Circa's
it?
going to beat it. When Circa officially is completed, Circa will be the tallest down there. So.
Okay.
Trivia!
Trivia time. It's often trivia time when you're with the wizard.
It is always trivia.
Okay, so I just have one last thing to say, and I have to get this one off my chest, is I love the Grand Canyon. I know it really well. I've crossed it on foot 5 times. So I want to talk about the west rim of the Grand Canyon. And as soon as you land in Vegas, you will see a lot of advertising for trips to the Grand Canyon. You can get there it's usually by helicopter or by bus. And where they're going to take you to is the furthest west part of the Grand Canyon, which is on Indian land, if I can use that term politically correctly. So at this location, the canyon is not that deep, and where they take you to is a side canyon. And if you go to that glass bridge, that is over a side canyon of a side canyon.
Right.
So it's not terribly far down at that part of the Grand Canyon. And I don't like being negative, but in my opinion, if you want to go to the Grand Canyon, you should do it properly and either go to the South Rim or the North Rim, where it's much deeper and you're on property of the Grand Canyon State Park. And I think you'll have a much better time. There's tons of walking trails and things to do, and it's not as touristy as the West Rim there. Now, I will say, I'm not going to go so far as to say absolutely do not go to the West Rim. If you live far away and this is going to be your only time in the Western United States and you really want to see the Grand Canyon and it's that or nothing, all right, go ahead and go.
That's a lot of it.
And I'm not saying that you're not, I mean, and there's a good chance you'll have a good time.
Sure, it's pretty.
But in my opinion, you're going to have like a 5 times better experience, either at the South Rim or the North Rim. And I could talk about the pros and cons on those all day, but yeah.
I will add to that though, what most people aren't going to be aware of, and where I think this comes into a great bit of miscellaneous advice, most people think that they just hear Grand Canyon and they think it's all the same. Guys, Grand Canyon's huge.
Yeah.
So with him talking about the different rims and the different sides of it, it's very important to realize that before you plan your trip. Especially if you think you're going to do it in a one-day trip, well then, like he's talking about, you're only going to go to the Native American land, you're only going to make it to the Skywalk. If you're planning to see more of it, you do need longer than that, because it's just a longer trip. You know, you're looking at 4.5 hours versus 2.5.
Yes, it is huge.
Each way.
Like the river part, measuring along the river, it's like 200 miles in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it definitely matters which part you go to.
Absolutely, just good to be aware of.
Okay, well, thanks for letting me get that off my chest.
Of course, unload.
Yeah, so, well, that was my last bit of miscellaneous advice, and there was a lot of stuff that I thought of that didn't make this list, and feel free to leave your comments in the please leave your suggestions in the comments of things that you think maybe we overlooked. There's a good chance we may make a sequel to this video.
Absolutely. If you guys find it helpful, make sure to let us know in the comments below, or even better, give us a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to the Wizards channel so that we know you enjoyed this and that you want to see more videos outside of the usual world of gaming and gambling.
All right, so thanks audience for making it to the end of this, and please look for us in our other videos.
Great.
Okay, bye
guys.
YouTube.
No, I don't know the song.
It sounds like Simon and Garfunkel.
It does, but in the 90s. So skip the hotel gift shop, skip the casino bars where they're going to pay you $6, and just go ahead and get your water that way. Hey. how
Hello.
you
You got
doing?
some time going on?
Yeah, that's all right.
What up?
Hey.
Are you thirsty?
Nah, man, I dropped my. To you, it may not seem like a lot, man, but the gold shit in my mouth is expensive. They're like $400 in my mouth, bro.
I believe
You
it.
feel me? So
Gold's expensive.
look, when I smoke my tobacco, I put that shit in my mask. You feel me? So I took my shit off on some humble shit, saying I took my shoes off. I bet you feel in the water.
Okay, do you have any quick advice to people visiting Las Vegas? Come in front of the camera.
I take that picture. Y'all don't even got to do no self-timer.
Oh, y'all doing the vlog?
Y'all want to move my shoes out of the way?
Do you
No,
have
you're
any?
fine.
Come look.
They're just part of the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything
No, I
to say to
appreciate
the
the
world
offer,
about
appreciate
advice for the Las
Yeah.
Vegas tourist? And you can't, the camera can't see you.
Yeah.
This a Rebel?
My first time.
This is my first camera. 2013. I swear to God, this is my first camera, the Rebel.
I've been using that for years.
I know
Yep.
it because of where the screen's moving.
Right.
Hey, let me know when y'all ready. I got y'all.
Oh no,
We're
it's going.
talking, we're rolling right now.
Yeah, it's video right now.
already
Yep.
rolling.
It's.
See, y'all gonna take a steal out of video.
Oh.
Smart as hell.
Well, thank you for
They
helping
gonna
though.
take a steal out of the video, bro. They set the video up, start. But see, that shit about the Rebel though. The Rebel, that shit fire. You gonna get everything out of the Rebel.
You're gonna have to make sure you don't drop it again.
Hey, it's in my mouth. You getting it out. I ain't taking that bitch out no more. It ain't gonna happen again.
One of my other big tips for Las Vegas: have fun, meet new people, be open to new things. You never know when you're gonna meet your new best friend.
Yes. Let's